All of our fun, all our dedication, everything will last for Kinfinity. Everyone, Kinfinity here, and here's my review of the Santa Claus 2. It is the Mrs. Claus, directed by Michael Lembeck, starring Tim Allen, Elizabeth Mitchell, Spencer Breslin, David Krumholtz, Eric Lloyd. He's older now, Dad. Scott has had the best halftime of getting all the toys built, of playing some good old football with the elves. He has just engulfed himself in being Popo Gijo. Being the one and only true candidate for being reformed into being the best actual toy maker instead of the sleazy next year projection business toy maker, the actual genuine jolly old St. Nicholas, goodness and toy giver. So change forever. And Bernard is, even better of being the head elf by having to look over Curtis because the entire existence of the North Pole operation was almost professionally discovered by this aviation team, this dedicated team of flying in this plane, flying through the Arctic. And sir, you're gonna want to hear this. Let's see, this must be some really weird radar scanning, some really weird radar, being picked up through the sound. But as soon as he put on what this should be, picking up this important frequency, dun, dun, you better never, you better never cry. Find out where that music's coming from. It's Santa and Kurt, one and only Bernard. Fine, Curtis. Let me get nice headphones. Nice, because it's one of those dancing Santa dolls. I just saw one from a store I was in, actually. Let's get you a nice set of headphones this Christmas. That'd be cool if you can plug it into that Santa. That'd be incredible. But in the meantime, Charlie has had just all of the reasons to keep to himself about how awesome it is that his friend, especially Danielle, wants to know more about Scott, about his dad and everything. And my parents are divorced, it's fine. No, it's not that. It's just his job. Super busy. If you think this is cold, because they're literally doing the worst, having to do the smallest vandalizing, that should already be Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible of trying to break into the school. Yes, so, it's really daring what you're doing. And I respect you for how you respect your dad. Well, then you might not come out as alive. Even better talk probably will have with Neil. But zip line down, Charlie. And he's shaking up this spray can. Well, here is the best soundtrack of Don't Be Naughty, but I've been a bad boy. I didn't get that done. So don't ever naughty Christmas. Because Principal Newman. Hello again, Charlie. Dun dun. Next parent intervention. Because it's kind of funny because in the first film, silly or not, we have to tell Charlie this knows this thing is Santa Claus. And now Charlie's lashing out because the school they're not doing anything for Christmas. They don't have any decorations or anything. So, of course, here's Laura and Neil already on their way there, but now Scott gets word. And on top of that, it's kind of weird, like, he's been doing it for a great amount of 8 years. It's been 8 years, like, only now is there another clause to the actual Santa Claus contract, being that last line, the contract and everything. Yeah, well, technically, that would just be the last part, like the clause, but there's more to it being this whole contract. And clever, haha, Santa Claus. So now there's the Mrs. Claus. Dun 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 dun. Like instead of dun dun dun, it's dun 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 dun. Ah, Scott has to get married again. This time by Christmas, he has to have a Mrs. Claus. in order to keep being Santa. It's just we're like only now is popping up. Go ahead, Curtis. Tell him everything else. Hey, I am the head elf Bernard. It's part of my seniority. And next time he sees Charlie, how you doing, sports? Now this is all for you, Scott. Now you know we can call you. Keep calling you Santa. But the legendary figures are already going to have their meeting here in Santa's office. And of course, led by Mother Nature. It's so crazy. Who Father Time is played by, because this man, Father Time actually wants Scott to keep looking like this. Because Peter, who played Scott's boss in the first movie. You like the Pillsbury doll? What's the matter, Calvin? You like the Pillsbury doll, boy? That's the same actor. It's crazy. And he tells him that he exactly has 24 days. 18 hours and 12 minutes and 5 seconds. That's what I do. And come over here, Cupid. Yeah, what you need, Doc? I mean, Cupid, he's been in love with being slick forever, you know? He's so laid back. Yeah, hit me with one of your darks. One thing, the arrows. And two, this work on legendary figures. If it did, would have hit myself years ago. Got hitched. When I met a lovely girl, left the business years ago. But Easter Bunny, there's different kinds of bunnies, you know. Come on, neat. You've been better. You know, 80%, kids are 80% happier since you took the job, Santa, you know. Even better, Sonny, you know, that occasion. But here we have the next determination of Tooth Fairy's new name. And Sandman. Oh, yes, I will vote too. Yeah, because I didn't miss that. We're voting again. Because Tooth Fairy is more than dedicated, soldier. You know who Tooth Fairy is in this version. So, got to change his name, you know. Yeah, Floss Man. Or what about Roy? No kid's going to put their tooth under bed for a man named Roy. But Santa, what about the Molinator? I need that. None of the moles in your in your teeth and your bicuspids. Yeah, so that could work. So now we bring up how they didn't know about the claw. I guess they don't know about the Santa contract specifically. But Santa tells them that he has to get married in order to keep being the Santa Claus. Yes. So so he has to go. Yeah, they can't make him fall in love or anything. Yeah, so now he has to go down. And that's good. They didn't want to just use it on a woman. They didn't want to use it on her. So, of course, Lord Neil, everyone loves the kindest Calvin since he became Santa Claus. Now he is the best person in every sense. He had a biting sense of humor, but I did not like that big office party. Yes, and now it's so much better than them having to have dinner at Denny. He is staying the best by loving being only Santa Claus. He's down there with his family, and so it's the opposite process of not being Santa anymore. So beard is going back in, everything's going back in again until he looks like the actor. Again, this is going back to before he was Santa. Well, you know, him not being Santa anymore, so it's going back to him being normal man. You know what I mean? Not Santa man, Santa looking man. So gotta give the best perspective from Neil, Lauren, Neil, and Charlie before and after they have to go to Charlie's meeting. Here we are. So Newman, it's Calvin. You look a lot skinnier. Are you okay? Because I guess, you know, ever since he became Santa, he only comes down sometimes when he can, of course. So, but I mean, like, this is not busy for the rest of the year, you know? Depending on how soon they start making the toys for that Christmas that year, I guess. Yeah, so he's down here again with Newman. Now it's Principal Newman here, and he does not like how, you know, they don't do anything for Christmas. Probably the Christmas cheer, but there's a lot more than that, Mr. Calvin. For all these students' discipline, especially Charlie. No, you know, the hallway. And these halls need to be decked. Yeah, so Laura, went into that. Yeah, she went into that that phone book. Here is who's still single and not too bitter. So he went in one of new sweaters. I guess Scott, he doesn't have a lot of regular clothes anymore. All of his clothes are red Santa, real jolly and everything. So he wears this lion sickle sweater, and he can only take Laura's minivan because I guess he doesn't have a car anymore since he's just been living as Santa in the North Pole. Yeah, so that does make sense. So if you're just gonna live as Santa and you have you literally have this whole hub of the North Pole to yourself, and then you only drive the sleigh. So, and then he took he took Comet down there, but there's also a reindeer in training who for now is still in the North Pole. That one and only Chet. So this date starts off really well with this Mordan, decking all of her outfits for the season. Soon to be actual country legend. This blind date he goes on. And it's so funny because the Santa on her sweater looks like him as Santa, so it's kind of funny. Because she doesn't know or anything. Yeah, this is awesome. And this is after his beard is no longer, his hair is getting more brown. It's really cool how subtly they go in the process, becoming Santa, not being Santa anymore. So, first they're having a great conversation. So you work in building toys? No way. I fucking shudder. That's so creative. I love creative people. I just want to be a singer-songwriter at country music. Yeah. Whoa. Best thing about being a Christmas is drinking someone make night. Whoa. Let's right. Well, I mean, he was so mesmerized, he didn't get all the lyrics. Because he didn't like it. Kind of scared me. Got startled me for a second. I mean, I just wasn't expecting it. If you can't respect a woman's ambitions and her creative passions, then there's no need to continue this date. Of course, I'm not going to fully put this jacket from her. Oh, still hopes. But she needs to understand, you cannot just off the cuff, without any introduction, bust into that best Christmas rendition. You cannot do that in that Christmas rendition. If you don't respect, how you can't startle people, there's no need for us to be around you. You're gonna just startle. Away from, I had all the interest. Back to Newman. So Charlie has to do this community service. He actually starts helping out Newman get to know each other. And he actually wants to go over to her house. So he gets to know her a lot better. Her name is Carol. And I just thought we'd go over some noodles and some pie. Okay. No, I wasn't going out. I was going on a date. I was going to the faculty Christmas party. Is that your idea of a night on the town? Noodles and pie? Super romantic. When a romantic situation like this happen to women, are like, Hey, but this Christmas party needs every bit of exuberance. Not for long, because this sure looks like a bag of gifts. Scott gets on center stage, and because he has this watch they give him where it tracks all the rest of his magic, and since he is limited on his magic, he's not going to stay Santa. He's going to use a certain amount. Well, the only way he can still do his Santa duties at the North Pole is for him and Bernard to actually agree to Curtis making the toy clone of Scott Santa. So they put him through. This is before he leaves, of course, and his beard's a little bit shorter than it was at first. So they put him through, and it is at first needing the Santa wardrobe. Because he has nothing on at first, the toy clone. So they dress him all. But, can he speak? Hello? Hello? Oh, So he has some of Santa's core memories. Like he knows where his desk is, but it's so weird. It's like he's a toy who's alive for the first time. So like he's super, he's super, he's super uncontrollable. Because sometimes he screams, sometimes he just hangs his mouth out. Because he's never been alive before. He's a tool. He's not a doll. He's definitely just a tool. So he has to learn, everything about being, because he only knows like little basic things, but he doesn't know about being Santa and stuff. The heart of being Santa and everything. What Christmas is all about, giving. So here comes the rest of the rundown. Well, Judy tries to give him the usual Santa cocoa. Well, yeah, I want some. I want some more cocoa. Santa's buzzed. And it's kind of funny because Santa is buzzed. and this is a toy version, so it's like Buzz Lightyear. He's Santa, it's kind of. But there's some parallels to that action I'm getting to later. So that's what's happening at the North Pole. They're trying to keep the Santa ordeal under wraps. And Bernard has to convince the elves that he's trying this new technique. And where his cheeks are even rosier. And his hair is super thick. He can't even comb it. Because it's literally plastic. It's plastic molded hair. Like it's all plastic. None of it's real. So they just have to tell them that this is still Santa. But gonna regret it forever. But all the elves are gonna help Santa. The real Scott Santa. I like a Scott Santa. So the faculty Christmas party finally livens up when got a present for is there James Oxford? Yeah, your mom's got you JJ? Here you go, JJ. Toss across. Man, I used to love this as a kid. This is for you, Winnie song. Oh, playtime tea house. Oh, another man, Rock'em Sock'em Robot. So all the teachers are literally ignited with their childhood. So they're playing with all the toys. Run, Rudolph. And Carol tells Scott about her favorite toy a little bit before this. So like Scott, he's using little bits of his Christmas magic in order to make things more magical with actually falling in love with Carol. But it's going to cost him. He's got to go back to the North Pole. So he gets her this beautiful baby doll that she used to have. So he gets her one again. Like, how did you know? How did you get this? Because she told him about it. But like, how did you get this and everything? How did you get all of these toys and stuff? You don't have to know everything. Someone just knows their way around eBay. And it's kind of funny because there's so many more features now than there was back then in 02. Awesome. That get Dealers 411 from Curtis himself because the unbelievable, let's call him Plastic Santa, starts reading the naughty nice list, and these kids are so naughty. Yes, brush your teeth, pick on those clothes. It goes on. And respect how those kids will learn. So he becomes evil Santa. He doesn't understand that, kids, even good kids sometimes do something that's naughty once or twice, and naughty. But they're still good kids at heart, Yes, but he thinks every lump of you have been naughty once. So he tries to give all the kids in the world cold because he doesn't fully understand what it's not real, actual brains. This is all toys. So he doesn't understand. So he makes the worst, almost like Babes in Toyland, band of evil toy soldiers. And they take over the North Pole. But they can't take over when only Curtis. So, gotta get back. So, they go to get Scott. But we don't have the best way to get back to North Pole. Because Comet got all these best treats for Scott's new niece. Well, not new to them, new to us. Because it's been 8 years since the first one. Laura and Neil's daughter, Lucy, super sweet. Uncle Scott. That's ever since he's been Santa. So she's always known him like this, unlike Charlie and everything. And who grew up with him first, wanting to get that Denny's apple pie. Yeah, so now you got her super sweet. But are you saying? Because she doesn't know that he's Santa Claus, not yet. Anyway, so they try to drop like when they were kids. They used to do this, man. Tie it to the toaster. We used to do this when we were kids to get some extra cash. But actually, Natural Lucy, right after Scott down the banister. Oh goodness, it did not come out. And not a toaster, that's too much. But Lucy, her tooth fell out. So they were able to get a tooth fairy. Like, you're not Santa. I guess they've never seen a picture of Scott when he was before he was Santa. I guess because the tooth fairy says you're not Santa. You're Santa. How did I know? At the last meeting, only Santa wanted you to be called the Molinator. Wanted him to be called the Molinator. He suggested it. Everyone else voted against the name change. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. What about 2 meetings ago? What about that whole year? You are Santa. So they get him back to North Pole while Curtis is hanging a little low by these Christmas lights. Can you fly anyhow? This Curtis, imagine this Curtis down here, the Tooth Fairy up here. So Curtis, can you fly a little higher? Tooth Fairy, what? And Curtis hit these trees. Never mind. Finally, in the back of the North Pole, to stop evil Santa. So Scott gets into the sleigh, and he told Carol that he was Santa before they left. It's not funny, Scott. So she doesn't believe him at first. So while Scott is in the sleigh, getting him to be Santa, everything, Charlie goes up to Carol, cleaning off her car. Can use all this frustration, get all this piles of snow off her windshield. He gives her the snow globe Bernard gave him. Gotta believe. Seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing. There you go. And keep believing. You will see unlike you could. You will see better than you ever could ever before. So while Scott is stopping the evil Santa, he's the worst version of who Scott is and used to be. And he doesn't have any good jokes either. Because he told one of the elves while they were making this nasty. They don't go back to making toys. They will go back to making toys. But they're doing this cold. And they're like, come on. Oh, don't frown, little troll monkey. Do a work monkey? Here's a joke. Knock, knock. The elf. Who's there? Aren't you? Aren't you what? Aren't you supposed to be getting back to work? It must have been so much fun for Tim. I'll talk more right after. So, they knock evil Santa out the sleigh. Scott, he gets the jacket back. And now they got to have a quick ceremony so they can get married. So they get married. And good thing, they were already making toys before this plastic takeover. So after they defeat the toy soldiers, Scott and Carol get married. Scott does his usual run of being Santa on Christmas Eve. And Lucy finally gets to meet Santa, Uncle Scott. So now she knows that he's Santa and they have to keep it a secret and everything because so many would abuse it. And, it's about believing in the first place, not seeing. So it's so great, like the first one, and it's just so clever how they expand. That would make sense. If he's Santa and they specifically have these rules and laws, the Santa Claus these rules, it would make sense that he would know the other legendary figures and they would keep things in balance and everything with them being real. So it's funny how they expand on the world and what would Laura and Neil have done since they've been married, have another child, and Charlie. Still being a good kid, but he just lashed out because his dad is amazing. He can't tell anyone about it, so it makes sense, So it's so good, like the first one, and yeah, it was really clever. What would the next Claus be? He needs a Mrs. Claus, so that makes sense. And Carol needed a change, so let's go to Carol is her own kind of Mrs. Claus, super sweet and caring in her own way. They love each other now, so things will go on with now Mr. and Mrs. Claus in the North Pole. And like I said, Tim must have had so much fun because evil Santa, he gets to be the craziest because I can do that forever. And I'm kind of thinking some of his lines in Galaxy Quest, some of his other movies. He can do that and he can just act crazy. Like I said, he's a toy, so he doesn't know. So when close his mouth sometimes, he's literally just Like sometimes he just has his mouth gaping open, and then sometimes he just starts screaming because he's a toy. He doesn't know subtleties. He's never been human. So that was really clever. And like with Buzz Lightyear, it's kind of funny because like with Buzz, he didn't know he was a toy. He didn't understand things. So it's funny how, yeah, and he thought he was the real Buzz Lightyear. So he thought he could actually defeat, aliens. He thought he was on a weird planet. He thought that taking off his helmet would take off his air supply. It's just like it's this evil Santa. He doesn't understand fully with kids being naughty and not like he takes things super literally because he's never been in this real world, this real content. So that's clever. And I love how Scott, the one and only Santa, grows even more of now he's been doing this, but now to share being Santa with a Mrs. Claus, because he was already divorced and everything. So sharing that with a Mrs. Claus now, making him even more giving, even more caring as Santa. So it's so clever how they continued the awesomeness and the craziness. Yeah, it's super fun. I can see how some people are like, wow, like maybe a little overboard, but it does make sense. Like, I mean, like the other legendary figures, it does make sense that they would have a council to keep things in balance, And they're used just here and there, like little comic relief and stuff. They're really funny. And great actors, everything. And yeah, it just continues on. And it's just super clever with what would need to happen. Like, not only with him having to marry her, like, what also would happen to him growing as a man, growing as Santa Claus, for him to keep being Santa Claus. And his family his real family, you know what I mean by real. Like, the family already had understanding more and more he's got to do this. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and notification bell when all new videos come out. And these videos will last infinity.